I moved into Willow Creek, a tidy little suburban neighborhood 2 years ago. Dreaming of quiet evenings and friendly neighbors, my modest ranch-style house had a small front yard, perfect for my pride and joy. A bright red hammock strung between two sturdy oaks. It was my sanctuary, a place to sip iced tea, read a book, or just sway under the stars. The kids in the neighborhood loved it too often, stopping by to take a swing while their parents chatted with me. For a while, life was good. Then came Karen Withers. The HOA president was the kind of person who carried a clipboard like a weapon and wore her authority like a crown. She'd patrol the neighborhood in her pristine white SUV, her eyes scanning for any infraction, a weed out of place, a mailbox slightly tilted, or, God forbid, a non-approved lawn ornament. I'd heard stories about her from my neighbor Tom, who once got a $200 fine for leaving his trash cans out an hour past pickup time. "Watch out for her," Tom warned. "She's got a nose for trouble." I didn't think much of it until one scorching July afternoon when I found a neon yellow notice taped to my mailbox. In bold, angry letters it read, "Remove hammock immediately. Violation of HOA Code. Number 17B. No unapproved yard structures." My stomach sank. The hammock wasn't hurting anyone. It was my property, my yard, my joy. But Karen had spoken. The next morning, I called the HOA office to plead my case. Karen answered, her voice dripping with condescension. "Mr. Daniels, the rules are clear. Hammocks are unsightly and attract loiterers. You have 48 hours to comply, or you'll face a $500 fine." I tried to explain how the hammock brought the neighborhood together, how it was a harmless piece of fabric. But she cut me off. Rules are rules. If you don't like them, move. I wasn't about to let Karen ruin my summer. I scoured the HOA bylaws, a 47-page document written in the most soul-crushing legalese imaginable. Sure enough, Code 17B banned temporary yard structures like hammocks unless they were pre-approved by the HOA board, which, surprise, surprise, was chaired by Karen. But as I read further, I noticed a loophole: permanent anchored structures like swings or gazebos were allowed. Provided they met specific safety and aesthetic standards, a plan began to form. Before I could act, things escalated. The following evening, I was grilling burgers in my backyard when I heard a commotion out front. I peeked around the corner and saw Karen, clipboard in hand, standing on my lawn with a man in a tow truck. My hammock was already halfway down one end, dragging on the ground as the tow guy unhooked it from the tree. "What the hell is this?" I shouted, storming out. Karen spun around her face, a mask of smug triumph. "You failed to comply, Mr. Daniels. I've taken the liberty of having it removed." "You're welcome." The tow guy handed me a bill for $150 for removal services. I was livid. This wasn't just about a hammock anymore. It was personal. Karen had invaded my space, humiliated me in front of my neighbors, and cost me money. The worst part, she'd done it with a smile. The neighborhood buzzed with gossip. Tom told me Karen had bragged at the last HOA meeting about cleaning up my yard. Another neighbor, Lisa, said Karen had been eyeing my property for months, claiming my hammock lowered property values. It was absurd. My hammock was the least of Willow Creek's problems. Half the street had peeling paint, and Karen's own lawn was a patchy mess. But she'd singled me out, and I wasn't going to take it lying down. Then came the shocking incident. One night I woke up to a loud crash outside. Grabbing a flashlight, I ran to the front yard and froze. Someone had dumped a pile of rotting garbage, fish guts, moldy bread, and God knows what else, right where my hammock used to be. The stench was unbearable. Scrawled in red spray paint on my sidewalk was a single word: comply. I called the police, but without security footage, they couldn't do much. Deep down, I knew Karen was behind it. She'd crossed a line from petty to deranged. I was done playing nice. Karen wanted a war. She'd get one. But I wasn't going to stoop to her level with vandalism or tantrums. My revenge would be legal compliant and gloriously petty. I spent days poring over the HOA bylaws, cross-referencing every rule about permanent structures. I consulted with a contractor friend, Mike, who helped me design a covered swing that met every single standard, anchored to a concrete base made of HOA-approved cedar wood, painted in a neutral taupe and under the 8-foot height limit. It was a masterpiece of bureaucratic perfection. The swing wasn't just a seat, it was a statement. I ordered a custom canopy with UV-resistant fabric in a subtle sage green, complete with side curtains for privacy. I even added a small solar-powered light for evening use. The total cost $2,500, pricey, but worth every penny to stick it to Karen Mike. And I spent a weekend installing it, making sure every bolt and beam was flawless. When it was done, I stepped back and admired our work. A gorgeous, HOA-compliant swing right where my hammock used to be. But I wasn't finished. I wanted Karen to see it and squirm. I printed out a 3-foot-wide sign and mounted it on a stake next to the swing. In bold black letters it read, "Co-approved swing enjoy responsibly." Underneath in smaller print I listed every bylaw section. And the swing complied with 17 C22A 34F. It was a middle finger wrapped in red tape. The morning after we installed the swing, I invited Tom, Lisa, and a few other neighbors over for a grand unveiling. As we sipped lemonade and took turns on the swing, I noticed Karen's SUV creeping by. Her face was priceless, jaw-clenched eyes, bulging her clipboard forgotten on the passenger seat. She slammed on the gas and sped off, but I knew she'd be back. Sure enough, that afternoon, Karen marched up my driveway, her face redder than a stop sign. "This is an outrage," she shrieked, pointing at the swing. "You're mocking the HOA." I leaned back in my new swing, sipping iced tea, and smiled. "Karen, it's fully compliant. Check the bylaws. I even got pre-approval from the board's vice president." That was true. Lisa, who was secretly fed up with Karen, had signed off on it. Karen sputtered, but she had no comeback. The swing was untouchable. Then came the coup de grace. I'd hired a local artist to paint a mural on the swing's canopy, a vibrant scene of kids playing, neighbors laughing, and a bright red hammock in the background. It was subtle, but unmistakable, a tribute to what Karen had taken from me. The neighbors loved it. Kids started calling it the Happy Swing Karen. She was apoplectic. The final twist came at the next HOA meeting. I'd rallied enough neighbors to propose a bylaw amendment, allowing hammocks with board approval. To Karen's horror, it passed overwhelmingly. Turns out I wasn't the only one she'd bullied. As the meeting ended, I leaned over to Karen and whispered, "Maybe I'll put my hammock back up." "What do you think?" She stormed out without a word. Life in Willow Creek got better after that. The swing became a neighborhood hub. Kids swung on it. Parents gossiped under its canopy, and even grumpy old Mr. Jenkins took a nap in it once Karen's reign of terror started to crumble. Neighbors began pushing back against her petty fines, and rumors swirled that she was facing a vote to replace her as HOA president. The garbage incident was never officially tied to her, but the police kept an eye on her SUV after I mentioned the timing. As for me, I kept the swing, but eventually strung my hammock up again, this time with official HOA approval. Every time I saw Karen drive by, I'd give her a cheerful wave from my yard. She never waved back. The best part. The swing's mural became a local legend. People from other neighborhoods stopped by to take pictures, calling it the Karen Slayer. One day I caught Karen staring at it from across the street, her face a mix of fury and defeat. I raised my iced tea in a mock toast and called out, "Nice day for a swing, huh, Karen?" She turned on her heel and fled. In the end, I learned that sometimes the best revenge isn't breaking the rules. It's mastering them. Karen thought she could control me, but I turned her own game against her. And every time I sink into my swing, feeling the breeze and hearing the laughter of my neighbors, I know I won the end.